Good evening everybody, my name is Crystal and welcome to my YouTube channel. If you like my videos, please smash that like button, please do subscribe. Good evening everybody. Alexa, what's the time please?
It's 8:03 p.m.
So guys, I've just been at home all day, just taking Max out for a walk on and off. And we'll just go recap through the day and then we'll go from there. So I stayed home. I didn't go to the co-op today. I went out for a walk with Max after 10 o'clock. It must have been nearly 11, and then I came back home and I just chilled out. I had a shower. I was getting messages and some of them were worrying, but I just kept going. I haven't been feeling too good after I come back from my mum's. I don't know if it was the start of the flu. My nose keeps running, I've got a sore throat. I cooked my lunch. I had coffee. I wrote down my journal because I like to put everything down what I'm experiencing, and it helps me with my depression to get my feelings out. So it's not a diary where I just chronologically put things in an order like 9 o'clock I did this, 10 I did that. It's the whole day written like a story, you know. So it's pages and pages for just one day, because I tell what's gone on and then I express my feelings, how I'm feeling and what it's making me feel like, what I'm experiencing. So it's more of like a story diary than just writing things down at certain times. So the buzzer went just after the lunchtime, and it was the post lady, but I didn't actually see the post lady or the post trolley. She left a parcel on my doorstep. I opened the door and I took the parcel in. I didn't go down to get the mail because there was somebody in the corridor. So for an hour there was somebody in the corridor, and I didn't go out to get the mail in the mailbox, which I would have done. So when I put my hand out to get the box, there was somebody in the corridor and it wasn't the post lady. So I didn't get my mail at that point. So my mum phoned, and I can't listen to the answer phones because I haven't topped up my phone yet. I haven't been out anywhere today or anything like that. So at 2 o'clock, the usual time I take Max for a walk, I went out of the building because the person in the corridor had then gone. There was also about 1:30 really loud dog barking in the corridor. The dog was screeching. Next door's dog was screeching in the corridor, and I wouldn't have gone out anyway. So that's when the lady, the post lady, put the post on my doormat. I quickly got the parcel in. 10 minutes afterwards I saw someone stood outside in the corridor, and then next door's dog came screeching down the corridor. So I waited for all that to die down and go away, and it did before 2. So I went out, I opened my mailbox. There was 2 leaflets in there, junk mail. I put them in the bin, and I had my post, which was a letter saying that a certain company wants to come in July and service the fire doors. Now I'm not sure whether I've got any fire doors in this property, because a fire door will be marked fire door. So there's no doors in my property that have got fire door on them. So if they're coming to service the fire doors, I would imagine they are looking at the internal doors of the building and not inside people's flats, but I'm not sure. So I'm going to email them and find out what they are exactly doing and where they're going to be. So I walked around the fields. There was absolutely nobody on there. I have been feeling very, very mentally strained after visiting my mum. I'm not saying she wanted to do me any harm, but twice while I've been around there, I've once I almost choked on the takeaway. I really choked on it. And the second time, my mum was wearing this most really strong perfume that made me overcome all headachy and sick. And I didn't want to stay in there for very long. And I shouldn't have, but I did, and I felt suffocated. And then she said, Jenny's dying. Jennifer is dying, and she'd called me Jennifer by mistake. So I was shit scared and afraid, and I didn't feel well when I left her flat on Tuesday evening. And I keep saying it, I'm not going to go up there, I'm not going to go up there. She's my mother. I don't know what's going on. Is someone telling her to do this, or is she doing it herself? I'm not certain. She also said to me that I won't be sending you any money in the mail, Genestra, not Jennifer. I've got a problem. She had a problem with her hand. Since I came back Tuesday, I haven't been able to grip things properly. I'm having to be careful with my coffee. I'm having to be careful to pick up anything. And I can't do any writing this evening because I'm struggling to grip the pen. Whether that's a coincidence or whatever, I don't know. I know those chips were doused in salt, and I mean too much salt. There was so much salt on the chips you couldn't see them. You don't put that much salt on chips. Just sprinkle a bit of it. It was absolutely covered. So I came back this afternoon, and I was getting messages still. One said they were a chauffeur, and it frightened me because it looked like Hitman. This bloke, with the pictures I got shown, like scared me. It was this bald-headed bloke, but he looked weird. And I was told he was a chauffeur, and that he had a girlfriend. And I said, well, you know, what are you doing talking to me if you've got a girlfriend? I'm a single woman. And he said, oh, we're not together, she just does the paperwork. And I thought, yeah, that's a likely story, that is. I've heard them all before. So I immediately stopped communicating with this chap. But the photographs is like stuck in my mind, like this, whether it's witchcraft, hypnotism, brainwashing, I don't know, but you start to feel ill. So I wasn't feeling that bad this morning, I wasn't feeling that bad this afternoon, but when I went to take Max out this evening, I could hardly stand on my feet. My feet felt like jelly. And I've eaten some of these frogs. I've eaten half the packet. And have I got fucking heartburn and wind? So I ate half of those. And it was raining outside, and I thought, oh my God, just my luck. So I was watching a couple of crime videos on the Alexa on YouTube, and the one about the lady whose parachute was tampered with by her husband, who wanted to kill her because he'd found someone else and he was trying to get rid of his wife. So I was watching that before I went out, and then I noticed it was raining, and I thought, shall I go out now or not? And I thought, bugger it, I'll go out. So I put my raincoat on, my raincoat, and I looked a mess. I know I did. I hadn't done my hair properly. I felt like shit, and I just went out that door and thought, fuck it, I've just got to get this over and done with. And my legs literally felt like jelly, like I was walking on marshmallows. And I thought, am I going to be able to get all the way around the field without falling over? I felt like every time I lifted my foot, I had sticky stuff stuck to my foot. They felt so light. And I managed to compose myself and keep walking around the field. There was a bloke on the field with a black hoodie and a white dog. And there was like 4 or 5 backpackers. And this guy shouted, "Do one! Do one!" So I don't know who he was talking to. A car drove on the pavement, but I was not anywhere near it. There was a car reversing. And I just casually walked home and into the flat, and I just felt terrible. I just felt terrible, you know, and I don't like feeling like that. I'm a person that likes to, you know, I might not be pretty, but I like to keep my hair in order. But I just felt crap this evening. So I've come into my flat, I've got raging heartburn. Why did I eat about 20 of these? I've got raging heartburn. I've made myself a cup of coffee. What I do at night is I either watch a Netflix video, film, or part of a series. And I've got this game called Royal Kingdom, and I keep playing it and playing it and playing it. I'm addicted to it. It's got no adverts, and it's a great game, and it keeps me occupied. When I start thinking shitty negative thoughts, I get this game and I occupy myself with it. And it's really pretty game as well, and like no ads, and you don't need the internet to use it. So that's brilliant. So I just felt like my whole body was jelly. I don't know if I've got the start of the flu coming, because it could quite possibly be that. Alexa, LBC Radio.
LBC London from Global Player.
Misinformation, disinformation, a challenge, particularly in the AI era that we're entering into. It is something that the public are very concerned about. Where do you get factual information that you can trust from? Everyone has their own, people can have their own versions of facts and what the news is now. You see it a lot in America. It seems to be bleeding into our politics here. So I do accept the premise. It's something that we need to find a way through, but obviously the practicalities of that can be difficult in real terms. Gareth?
Yeah, it's great in theory. It reminds me an awful lot of the VAR debate. Ian, you're a big football fan.
No, we don't want it.
VAR.
We've got polling on that actually. But,
yeah, it's a problem, because the thing is that there's always going to be interpretations. I mean, that £2,000 figure was cumulative over 4 years, subtracting policies that were already set in place. I think was that it was a very convoluted way of doing it, but they could argue, they could justify it. You can justify pretty much any figure if you try hard enough. And I do seem to remember in 2019 some of the broadcasters hosting some of the debates did try to have a fact-checking panel to go over statistics, and I think you could probably start it with those big statistics. But again, unless the research departments and the political parties are going to explain to you exactly how they've reached those figures, you're going to just go around in circles. And this is the reason why the newspapers the next day tend to be the place where they really eat into those figures.
Maybe there could be a red button facility or something like that. It would really annoy. I mean, I think of that first ITV debate, which was only an hour long anyway. And actually, once you take out there was an ad break, I think. I mean, it's probably under 55 minutes. and you introduce like 3 or 4 minutes every now and then for fact checking, I just don't think it would work. But Cal, interesting idea. Thank you very much indeed for that. Right, a couple of WhatsApp messages here. Paul says, my question is, how many countries around the world use the same electoral system as we do in Britain, i.e. first past the post? Not many is, I think, the simple answer to that. Most have some version of PR, don't they? Gareth?
Yeah, I remember during the AD referendum, I think there's only 2 or 3 other countries, and they're all quite small, that use it. But there's lots of different systems. I mean, you could argue that the American system is a form of first past the post. Alternative vote systems aren't necessarily proportional. There are so many different types of proportional system as well that a lot of the time when people say we really need PR, it's a bit like saying we really need air. It's a fairly meaningless thing unless you're going to specify actually what you need is oxygen. It's meaningless because PR is not actually a system. PR is really just a theory of having an electoral system that's slightly more proportional. And every single electoral system will have its critics. You could line up people from different lobbying organisations that lobby very hard for different electoral systems, and all of them will give you a very good argument as to why everyone's system other than theirs is terrible.
I do think when you poll about PR, the principle is accepted that the percentage of votes and percentage of seats should be broadly consistent. When you get into the practice of individual systems, it becomes a bit more opaque. What I do think will be very interesting in the aftermath of this election, if anything like the current opinion polls is what we see, will there be a sort of almost about turn where it's the Conservative right that starts, if we can use that colloquial term, that starts looking at PR as a sensible way forward?
Nigel Farage is in favour of it, isn't he?
Absolutely, and you do wonder whether the small C Conservative press might start embracing that if there is seen as such a disconnect between how Reform do in terms of votes versus seats. It isn't new, of course. I mean, we've got back to 2015, UKIP had a similar situation, but it'd be interesting to see where that debate goes.
Apparently India uses first past the post, according to Shailesh, and also Steve says Belarus does. Well, I wouldn't say that was the best example, but there we go. It's 8:20.
This is LBC. Matthew Wright, weekends from 7 a.m.
Ofwat has also been criticised for being too close to the water companies, enthralled to them. We just need to tear the whole thing up, scrap it, and replace Ofwat with a sort of people's board. Why not have real people, an independent regulator made up of independent-minded people?
Matthew Wright.
With Enterprise, experience more with a rental car and unlock your summer getaway.
LBC.
This summer, it's time to leave behind the stress of traffic jams, finding a parking space.
So guys, I'm just going to either watch a Netflix video or watch something on the telly. I hope everybody has a lovely evening. Good evening.